Hey guys, it's Chef JP, corporate chef at ShiftPixy Labs, and welcome back. I've got something really cool to share with you. It's about these things, whisks. Now, everybody has them, but not too many people really know which whisk is for what and really how to use them. So I'm going to show you a technique using a balloon whisk, and I'm going to tell you what the difference is, and I'm going to show you how to make whipped cream in the process. I'm going to show you the different stages of whipped cream, which is kind of cool. There's stages to whipped cream? Yes, there are. You're gonna learn that too. So what is the function of this thing? Well, we say, it's for making whipped cream or making a meringue or something like that. Well, that's this one. That's not necessarily this one. So if you look at the difference between these two, this guy has a lot of shake to it. See that vibration? That's important. So that means it's going to take the energy from my hand and continue to whisk. So this saves energy from me because it expands on the energy that I'm throwing into the whipping process. This one, no. So this is meant to aerate. This is meant to mix and fold. So this is a heavier wire whisk. So the function of this would be to mix a heavy batter or something, where a spoon wouldn't be appropriate, or I don't want to develop gluten. All right, if I'm like mixing a biscuit, I'll use this stuff for mixing biscuits, mashing potatoes, all kinds of cool stuff like that. All right, that is the function of this whisk. If I try to make whipped cream with it, I can, but I'm gonna have to work a lot harder because I don't have that. I don't have that extra energy, okay? Now, when I see people work with a whisk, sometimes I see this. Well, you lose all the functionality of the whisk. You need to hold it over here. Now, when I whisk, my motion is to hold it in my hand and curl it back. That's my motion, not this, okay? But if my arm's out here, I'm using way too much energy to whisk. If I'm nice and tight,
hey, how you doing?
And I'm using this part of my wrist. So essentially, I'm trying to do that. I want to use my radius, my ulna, and the wrist, and the bones in my hand. So use small muscles for this. Don't use big muscles for this. They're going to fatigue you later on. So my motion, I just want to be kind of loose. I don't want to hold it with a death grip. Just nice and loose. Now, whipping. Change my grip. So I start this way. Maybe I get bored or I get tired or it kind of starts to hurt. I'll take my hand and flip it over and start doing that, right? So I can have a different hand position. Once again, my shoulder's still anchored over here. All right, I'm not using big muscles, I'm using little muscles. Now I'm using one finger, two fingers, 3 fingers. Find the position that works for you. Now if I want to aerate, instead of making circles, I want to try to make figure eights. Because figure eights will be sloshing that cream from side to side with the whisk cutting through it and introducing air. Now how did I prepare the cream? Well, my cream came right out of the fridge, but then I filled this thing with a lot of ice and a lot of water to keep the cream super, super cold. That's important because if the fat gets hot, it's going to be harder to whip. And then all of a sudden I'm gonna have fine bubbles. And when I reach that point, I have something called creme chantilly. Now creme chantilly is the sexiest, fluffiest, it's the first stage of whipped cream. So this would actually be used like a fluffy sauce. All right? So you see when I'm going side by side like this, it fluffs up a lot. This disperses it, this fluffs it. So I'm alternating back and forth. I'm feeling for tension in my forearm. If I'm feeling for tension in my forearm, I'm starting to clench my hand. So I need to stop, release it, loosen up my hand again. Everything should be super loose. See, I'm opening and closing my hand. There's nothing going here except the radius, the ulna, and my hand. Now when I get to a point, see how it's not this anymore. It's not that. It's starting to develop volume. So this is probably improved by about 50% in volume. Once that starts, it'll start picking up speed. So now think about this. When I think about whipped cream, I think about sugar. So when I start to get to something like that, so you can see that it's just starting to hold the lines, all right? So when I drag it through, it's starting to hold it a bit. I have no peaks, all right? There's no peak. It's nice and soft. So at this point, I'm gonna start adding my sugar a little at a time. If I added my sugar in the beginning, the structure of the granule will actually rip apart the air cells and slow me down. I'll be able to whip eventually, but it might taste a little buttery. because my cream is gonna start breaking out a bit. Okay, so once I have the first two in, and I'm adding this to taste. So to me, when I add sugar to cream, I want it lightly sweetened. I don't want it to overpower the dessert or any of that. See how it's holding a bit, but it's dripping. That's creme chantilly. So this would be a sauce that I could drizzle over a piece of super rich chocolate cake. So if I put whipped cream on top of it, you're eating the cream. This adds the velvetyness to it. I'm gonna go a little bit more. And now it doesn't take much time. Soft peak. So now you see it's holding its shape a little bit more. It's not laying down. Now let's go for stiff peak. And now you can see, look at this, holding its shape. This is as far as I take cream. Right here. Right? Creme chantilly, nice soft peak, nice firm peak. Now, let's ruin it. So I'm gonna overbeat this, so you see what that looks like. The way you can tell is it starts looking drier and drier. See how it's getting more granular? So that means that my fat globules are starting to find each other and they're connecting.
I do not understand.
So across the roof of my mouth, it's gonna be like little droplets of fat. So let's take this further. Now this is what most people call whipped cream. To me, that's on the verge of becoming butter. I'm just gonna put him here, just for the heck of it, right there. So looking at these, I have something that's gonna be really silky on the palate. I can almost use it like a sauce. Now, once again, I can make this a little looser or a little tighter, depending on my palate, depending on the needs of the dish. This guy over here is my all-purpose. It's soft, it's billowy. The protein structure hasn't been strained and the fat globules haven't started bouncing into each other and forming little grease balls, basically.
What the hell are you talking about?
This guy over here, if you're used to making whipped cream at home, stop there. That's as perfect as it's gonna get for whipped cream that you want piled up on top of something. You have a beautiful sundae and you want that whipped cream piled up, you wanna put nuts and everything, that will support that. Most people take it to here. And when we get to here, we see the cream starting to degrade. It's just coming apart. Actually, let's break it. Let's turn this into butter. So, once I start seeing the heavy cream or the whipped cream starting to slide down the inside of the bowl, I'm past the point of no return. I cannot save this at this point. I can't unwhip it. So there are some sauces and some things that you can fix, but not this kid. So look at this. That's butter. That's how you make butter. If you have a cool idea, or if there's some weird technique that you're like, man, is there a better way of doing this? Reach out to me. I want to share it with you. Let's do this together. So until I see you next time, make food for someone you love and then tell me about it. I'll talk to you soon. This is Chef JP, ShiftPixy.